Hello there, good morning and welcome to Today News here on GHOne Television. My name is Obed Gaglo. Here are top stories for this morning. Coming up this morning, renal patients raised doubts about sustained operations of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital's renal units despite its reopening on Wednesday, August 21. And later in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo pledges to respect the will of the people in the December 7th elections as NDC insists it will only sign the peace accord if 6 conditions are met by the National Peace Council. We have details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Do stay with us. Grateful for choosing us this morning. Remember, the bulletin is streaming on our social media handles, both on Facebook and on X at GHOne TV. Now, President Akufo-Addo has reaffirmed his commitment to yielding to the will of the Ghanaian people after the December 7 polls. His comment comes in the wake of demands from the opposition NDC for the president to openly declare that he will hand over power in the event that the governing MPP loses the upcoming elections. But speaking at the 12th Quadrennial Congress of the Trade Union Congress on Tuesday, President Akufo-Addo stressed his readiness to ensure a free, fair and peaceful election. He added that he will yield to the will of the people and not that of any desperate politician.
As we approach the electioneering season, I want to assure you that Ghana will emerge peaceful and more united after the 7th December elections. However, we must not allow complacency to set in, given the insecurity within West Africa. We have a duty to partner with and support our security and intelligence agencies to prevent any threats to the peace we enjoy. We must work diligently to secure our borders and maintain peace and security during this critical period. I have been and will always be for peace, and I encourage all citizens and organizations to do the same by rejecting the threats of misinformation and disinformation. I will help ensure the conduct of free, fair, credible and transparent, freely expressed, and not the will of any candidate or political party, however desperate for power, that will prevail. The integrity of our electoral process is paramount, and we will take all necessary steps to secure it. The law against vigilantism will be strictly applied without fear or favor, ensuring that peace and order are maintained throughout the electoral period, enabling the Ghanaian people to make their choice free of intimidation and violence. Ghana's standing as a beacon of democracy in Africa will be sustained, and we will continue to set an example for other nations to follow. In these challenging times, we must unite, innovate, and act decisively to guarantee the interests of our workers and build a resilient economy.
Meanwhile, a member of the National Peace Council, GHOne, says the NDC's position on the Peace Pact calls for a new strategy to deal with the impasse. Speaking to the media during a public forum on media, peace and democratic consolidation organized by the Media Foundation for West Africa in collaboration with the Peace Council, GHOne said the Peace Council will continue to mediate between political parties to find a lasting solution to concerns of election violence.
Available data indicates a growing media over the last 2 decades in Ghana. While the growth is significant for media diversity and amplifying citizen voices for public accountability, a substantial number of these media houses are owned by politicians who use them for political propaganda to further their partisan interests. to help contribute to addressing the above contest and advance peaceful elections and democratic consolidation in Ghana, the Media Foundation for West Africa, with support from the U.S. Embassy in Ghana, is implementing a project titled Enhancing the Media's Role in Conflict Resolution, Peace Building, and Democratic Consolidation in Ghana. Suleiman Abrahima is the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa.
Our politicians are spewing out, in some instances, vile rhetoric, pro-violent rhetorics, hate speech sometimes, propaganda sometimes, misinformation sometimes, disinformation sometimes, and all of that. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be conveyor belts, basically conveying whatever politicians are saying to the people, and we shouldn't also be allowed to be used as megaphones, basically blaring out whatever is being said by politicians, whether good or bad.
Engaging journalists on the issue of the refusal of the NDC to sign the Peace Pact, member of the Peace Council, GHOne emphasized the need for a new strategy to bring the NDC on board and a continuous engagement with the political class to ensure a peaceful election.
This is a new thing, I should say, that has come up from the NDC, and we have just begun putting in place strategies that we can use in mediation and talking to them to see where we will get to. We will use what, in line with our mandates, we can use whatever strategies we can put in place to ensure that there's a common understanding and we have everybody's concerns addressed.
During a panel discussion for journalists and representatives of political parties, head of the political desk of GHOne TV and Star FM, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, called out politicians who micromanage media houses for their reportage.
Traditional leaders have now become politicians themselves. And the other flip side of the coin is that when they say certain things to the politicians, when they visit their palaces, the politicians now have media outlets. They write their own stories. They write their own stories and circulate those stories, and those stories get published unedited. So I'm sure many of you who read newspapers will see synchronized headlines. Chances are they are all from politicians.
The forum brought together stakeholders in the media, chiefs, students, CSOs to help increase public awareness about the challenges of hate speech and toxic narratives and their implication for Ghana's democracy, peace, and stability.
In a high-stakes showdown that could tip the balance of power in Parliament, the Blakema North constituency has become a battleground where the MPP and the NDC candidates are locked in a fierce fight for dominance. As the 2024 general election approach, the once predictable seat has turned into a political tinderbox, with both parties pulling out all stops in a bid to secure a decisive victory. There's more in the following reports.
The Blakema North constituency has been in existence since 1992. Areas under the jurisdiction of Blakema North include Kwashiman, Odoko, Dakuman Kokompe, Nyamiche, and parts of Dansoman. It has been a stronghold of the MPP since 1996. Kwame Battles has been the constituency's longest-serving MP until 2008, when Justice Joe Appiah took over from him and later defeated Ras Mubarak of the NDC in 2012. In 2016, Nana Ekuya Owusu-Efriye represented the MPP in Parliament, but subsequently lost to Sheila Battles, the daughter of Kwame Battles, during the MPP primaries for the 2020 parliamentary elections, and is currently the MP for the area. But here is the interesting twist of events. Nana Ekuya Owusu-Efriye, who lost to the incumbent MP Sheila Battles, has staged a strong comeback by beating Sheila Battles in the MPP primaries to be the parliamentary candidate for the 2024 elections. Though the MPP has dominated the political landscape in the area, some constituents who spoke to the news team say they are unhappy with the performance of the MPP. Some taxi drivers at the Kwashima taxi station in an interview served notice that they will not vote for the MPP this time round because they believe the MPP have taken constituents for granted. They cited poor roads and many other unfulfilled promises.
Chese obe promise ye e taxi station ha ye committee ya oba meeting ase odi em bekasa e na obisa ye how ye kan ye how nyina kire no including road ya e da high apikis road ya ko top ye omu ba be omu promise ya e na omu di sapiti be gusu road na da wa che oba ye no ye ka kire ni say ye road we ani ye how a den e high en pipe say ufi akra na wo ba traffic tia o ho na ye den ye doji fa wait me anya road na my omu be promise na omu promise no e na omu ye den omu be gu sa road the way so e di be dada e
be pipi wi ni ba bibi ankoso so kwasi bu kwan ni ma ni anya obi go for drop kra kwasi bu ye nko because kwan ni anya a center inside any room any ban ya kwan ni nya what I say ba ye wa MPP etisu de bia ye bre what I say
The parliamentary seats for the 2024 elections in the Ablekuma North constituency will be keenly contested by the MPP's Nana Ekuawusu Efriye and the NDC's Irabna Obin, who are matching each other boot for boot with billboards scattered at vantage points in the constituency. In an interview with the NDC's parliamentary candidates, Irabna Obin called out the MPP for turning a blind eye to the plight of constituents and described their track record as abysmal.
Cast your mind back years back, the constituency hasn't progressed or it hasn't improved. Nothing seems to be better. Ablekuma North constituency is a problematic one. Yes, the other party, that is the inconsiderate NPP, has been in power for nearly 30 years. Nothing works. Nothing works in this constituency. Look at our road networks. And so if MPP has been in power for nearly 30 years and we have nothing useful to boast about, then your guess should be as good as mine.
Although the news team engaged the MPP parliamentary candidate for an interview, the attempt proved unsuccessful.
With over 30,000 votes difference between the NDC and the MPP in the 2020 elections, can the NDC bridge this gap and possibly win the Ablekuma North seat for the first time? Well, 7 December is just around the corner. Reporting for GHOne News, Obed Gaglo, Ablekuma North. Away from politics, it appears the renal patients have lost trust in the ability of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to keep the unit fully operational despite its reopening to outpatients on Wednesday. Their doubts stem from the past experiences where the unit briefly reopened following prolonged shutdown. Nadima Umar Uthman has more in the following reports.
Good news for the outpatients of the renal unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, as the facility is finally open to them after 3 weeks of closure. On August 20th, management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital released a press statement that the facility will finally be open to outpatients after they had airlifted some essential commodities that are needed for dialysis. And so today, the facility is finally open to outpatients who have come in here in their numbers. The first session of dialysis began at around 3 a.m. with some 10 persons going in there to receive their dialysis. Currently, the second session is underway with another batch of 10 persons undergoing dialysis treatment. Patience Annan, an end-stage kidney patient, is suffering from edema, a condition involving excess fluid buildup around her abdomen, causing a noticeable protrusion. She attributes this condition to missed dialysis sessions due to the repeated closures of the hospital's renal unit.
As you can see, it's because when they closed last year, I wasn't getting access to do it. That's why my tummy became this big, because that's the only source that excretes waste products from our body. So if you don't get it, it's like the waste are accumulating in our system, and the stress and strain it will cause on our body. So
the unit is now open to outpatients, but patients is skeptical about how
Meanwhile, ranking member of Parliament on the Health Committee, Kwabena Mintah-Kando, has hinted the NDC will announce a waiver of taxes on dialysis consumables in its manifesto launch on Saturday. He spoke to Star News.
That blinking an eye is a useless thing we are doing, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has reiterated, and that he has even indicated that there's going to be renal and cancer fund, and so we will have a special money for that particular fund to run issues of dialysis and then cancer in this country. So issue. So you are going to see the scrapping of taxes, the waiver of taxes on these consumables. I am very, very sure and clear in my mind this is going to happen.
And this is where we wrap up this morning's bulletin. Grateful for your time. My name is Obed King Gaglo. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gf. Have a